position to respond to that? Isn't that a matter for SRC? So I think I will skip that, but I know there are guidelines from SRC, which if you comply with, then it would make your work easy. I also know that the Constitution says that if a person is a state or SRC actually sets the wages. It means you cannot negotiate over it because they are, according to the Constitution, it's the SRC which is supposed to set them. On monetary and non-monetary, I think SRC just goes by what will have heavy financial implication. You see, leave somebody takes only once. Sickness, somebody may not even be sick at all for several years. But salaries, house allowance, those are they are monthly obligations, so they have very heavy financial implications. But I think those are issues that are more relevant if raised with the SRC. For Brenda, I think you misunderstood me. What I said is that what I intended to communicate is that employers will have a heavier burden. Not that you really have to train a magistrate, but of course, you also know that experience makes people better. And magistrates do not have sufficient experience in these matters. They have sufficient experience in the other matters, like the criminal cases, which they are used to doing. So sometimes, if you don't know, even among us here, there are so many HR people who make mistakes because they don't know. But they learn and then improve with the time. So that is what I mean, that magistrates are on the learning curve. And when they are on the learning curve, you need to be more cautious. You don't take anything for granted, because anything that you do not explain may be the reason why you lose your case. So don't leave anything to chance. Don't assume that the magistrate knows the law and will decide in your favor if your case is correct. So judiciary does training, but how long do you need to train somebody to understand? I think when I joined FKE, it is only after about 2 years that I was sure I can address an employer and not make a mistake. So if it takes that long for magistrates, what mistakes who will have suffered in all this time before they are perfect? So it was just a word of caution. On orders of courts being disregarded, for us, I always tell anybody who comes to complain, you know how to approach us. Come back, we will give you orders if people disobey court orders. And I know the biggest culprits are normally the government. But people have come to us for contempt, and we have made orders. And although sometimes you even come with contempt, you make orders and nothing is done, but courts can only give orders. We can't do more than that. On ADR, employment matters is actually number 2 in terms of ADR. Family matters are topping, doing the best. Employment matters is number 2. The only problem is that a lot of people do not want to go to ADR for mediation. We are currently having a court-assisted mediation, which means you do not pay anything when you go for mediation. About, I think, 80% of the cases have been fully resolved. About another 10% have been partially resolved. And I think only about 10% come back to us. So it is something that you can take. For employers, this will be a very good option because you avoid a lot of the court expenses and also the time. Because in ADR, you also agree on costs. You can also agree on the costs. If you leave it to the court, then the court will say you pay according to the advocate's remuneration order, which is not very cheap. Those are the issues.
Justice, and I think we are very happy and we feel blessed to have had the judge address us and look at the issues we have raised. Are we feeling that way? Now, can we just give a clap of appreciation, quality clap for the judge? Thank you, Justice. Now, we have had very rich information, and we need time to process it before we move to the next. We're going to have a short break, and then we are going to take also to have a photo session with the judge, where we had yesterday at the stairs, then take our tea, and then come back to the room at exactly 11, so that then we can start the next session. Is that fair? Good. So let's allow the high table to start. The judge and the executive director and prepare the high table to go out first. Then we follow quickly to the stairs. We have a photo with the judge. Thank you. Thank you.